What is up, Waffle Gang? I do hope you are well. My name is Mark, and today we're checking out some more r/AmITheA. If you'd like to skip the initial waffle, timestamps are in the description, so please feel free to use them. But if you are new here, please consider hitting that like, that subscribe, and maybe that notification bell too, as it massively helps out our channel. I just want you to know that because it really does, and I cannot express that enough. And with that being said, we're just going to crack straight in to today's stories. Much love, guys. Now, our first story comes from Neighbour. Am I the arsehole for making Neighbour remove the eggs he put in my yard for an Easter egg hunt? Since Wednesday, my neighbour asked if he could hide eggs in my 28 male yard as part of an Easter egg hunt they wanted to do for the kids coming to their barbecue. Our yards are right next to each other with only the pavement dividing it and no fence, which I'm thinking about setting up after what happened. He asked 3 times and each time I said no because I don't like the idea of a bunch of little kids I don't know coming into my yard. Besides, he wanted to hide most of them in my garden and I wouldn't trust a 6-year-old to not step on my flowers or knock over a pot. He's been mad since I repeatedly said no and explained why. Their yard's just as big as mine, so didn't see why they needed my space too. Yesterday, I was having some car trouble, so I took it to my friend who's a mechanic, not getting it back until Tuesday. So guess because my car wasn't in my driveway, they assumed I wasn't home. Because in the morning, I'm doing work in my basement and I hear footsteps nearby. Check my hidden security cam and I see my neighbour walking back to his house from my yard. Then he got mad and was calling me shit under his breath, but he picked them up and left. I'm going out to check my yard to make sure he got all of them, and his wife is giving me a dirty look too while he was talking to her. They had their little party and Easter egg hunt in their one yard. I was out there just now watering my plants and they were cleaning up. My neighbour was still mad at me. He told me he hopes I'm happy with what I did. Right now I'm more calm and not mad at him anymore. I'm kind of wondering if I was an arsehole making him pick his shit up and not letting him use my yard. Honestly, I was ticked off in the moment that he went into my yard after telling him no, so I'm not sure. Now this one is just going to simply be a not the arsehole from me, and I get the sort of what people might say about, oh, it's for the kids though and all this kind of thing, but Opie said their yard is just as big and they can have a perfectly adequate Easter egg hunt in their own yard. There's no need to take over Opie's yard too. And I imagine, I'm not sure if this is true, they might be just making this one up, but like with the swimming pool stories, there might be some sort of like insurance. If one of the children was to trip over and hurt themselves and fall on, I don't know, a piece of gardening equipment or something like that, you could be potentially liable for that maybe? I don't know, I might be just making that one up, but that would be a concern in my head after reading so many of these stories. Am I the arsehole has warped me in so many ways. I look at situations totally differently now. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but... And you are also right to be concerned that they may trash your yard. I mean, if they're looking for Easter eggs, they might be moving around potted plants and stuff like that, just knocking them over to see if there's an egg underneath them or something. I don't know, but I think you were totally right in this one to just say no. You know, you weren't comfortable with it, and they didn't respect that, and they were still going to do it anyway. I'd be watching them like a hawk in future. Absolutely not the arsehole in my opinion, but let's have a look to see what some of the comments say. And we'll start off with Prairie Dog Stromboli. Not the arsehole, no one is entitled to use your property but you. And if one of the kids had hurt themselves while in your yard, it's your insurance that will go up. Also, if they had damaged anything, do you honestly think this neighbour would have paid for the damages? I don't. Put up a good tall fence with a gate that locks. And Just No Snark says, why on earth would you be the arsehole? You told him no 3 times and he got all sneaky and trespassed on your property. Save up for a fence to keep your entitled neighbours out of your yard. Not the arsehole. And One Bug says not the arsehole. He was trespassing and I'd have called the cops. No 3 times is enough. I'd make sure those cameras record too. I doubt this is the first time he used your property. It's just the first time you were home. And Angler Fish Taco says not the arsehole. Literally today my parents agreed for the next door neighbours to have their grandkids do an egg hunt in their yard, ages 4 to 10. They have minimal landscaping in the backyard and the kids stomped on everything in the pursuit of eggs. And these kids are crazy well behaved and polite. You are well within your right to say who and who could stomp on your flower beds. The parent knew they were doing wrong, hence the guilty faces, but they are just trying to make you feel bad. Brush it off. And Pristine Accident says not the arsehole. You did the right thing. If you are not comfortable, you shouldn't be out in that situation. You pay rent and mortgage for your own space. Believe me, if you back down, it will get worse. He needs to respect boundaries. You said no, and he still went ahead and did it. He sucks. And now I turn this one to you guys. What do you guys think of this situation, and what would you do? Have you ever let anyone do an Easter egg hunt on your property before? Random one, I know. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And our next story comes from a throwaway account. Am I the arsehole for calling my girlfriend sick for cutting my son's hair? Had to repost. I, 29 male, am a father to a 6-year-old boy who we'll call K. I was in a relationship with B, 27 female. Background info. Long hair runs in my family. No one in the family has ever cut their hair to a short length. K has super long hair that he adores because it makes him feel like a rock star or Thor, and because he's proud of the time spent growing his hair. I asked B what happened, and she said his hair was so long that he looked like a girl, and that boys should have a boy haircut. I shouted at her, calling her sick and toxic for thinking that she had the authority to cut my child's hair when he didn't want it cut in the first place. She called me an arsehole, saying that she was doing us a huge favour and that it wasn't her fault. K was being a brat. K is miserable because he loved his hair, but now he doesn't feel like a rock star anymore. I got a text message from a friend saying that I'm overreacting and that's just hair. So am I the arsehole for calling my girlfriend sick and toxic after she cut my son's hair? Am I just overreacting? And there is a small little update on this one as well, and we'll go to that after the comments, and we'll start with Skippy2716, who says, not the arsehole, dump her. And Howard Project says, not the arsehole, tell your son she won't be getting that opportunity again because she is now your ex-girlfriend. It doesn't matter that this was about hair. What matters is that she knew how important the issue was to both you and your son, and called him a brat for objecting to her doing something behind your back to his body without his consent and yours. And Polyester Atrocity says, not the arsehole, she crossed several lines here. She had zero right to cut his hair, and she's showing you that she's going to do whatever she wants. I don't think she sounds like someone you want in yours and your son's lives. I'd run if I was you. Run fast. And Gemini says, not the arsehole, text your friend. Okay, I'm coming over there and shaving you fucking bald, and then let's see you say it's just hair. No, let's see you telling my crying fucking 6-year-old who got his hair cut against his will it's just hair. And Almost Christmas Now says, not the arsehole, I'm pretty sure that's assault. Maybe you could have phrased it differently, sure, but it's understandable. Why it will eventually grow back, depending on the length, that could take years. Your girlfriend has shown that she doesn't respect his bodily autonomy, which is definitely a red flag. And the mini update says, update, thank you to everyone for all your recommendations. I showed K pictures of Thor with short hair and it's increased his confidence towards his short hair. He still hates the fact that he didn't want it cut yet and is still a little upset, but he's doing just fine. I also discussed with him about boundaries and consent. Is B K's mum? No, his bio mum and I share 50-50 custody. The B and I break up, and then says, and quotes, I was in a relationship, so yes. K has always had a love for hair since he was 2 years old. I let him play around with my hair, just because he found it interesting. And now I turn this one to you guys. What would you do in this situation if someone cut your child's hair behind your back? How would you feel and what would you do about it? Let me know in the comments below. And we have another hair-based story from Am I the Arsehole Daughter's Hair? Am I the arsehole for asking my wife to not do our daughter's hair? My wife Grace, 36 female, and I, 36 female, are fostering Elena, 12 female. Elena is beautiful and the kindest, sweetest, and smartest girl I've ever met. She's perfect in about every way possible. The thing is, Elena also has severe anxiety and CPTSD, and needs our daily routine to function. Every night after Elena takes a shower, she comes to our room to say goodnight to me and to get Grace. Every night Grace braids Elena's hair and they talk about stuff like school or Elena's friends. After Grace does her hair, she tucks her in and usually rubs her back until she falls asleep. Elena and Grace say it helps Elena calm down before bed and helps her to not have nightmares. On Friday, I found out my parents died in a car crash. I've been in no contact with them since they kicked me out at 16, but it still hurts. Grace and Elena have been very supportive and have been trying to cheer me up. On Friday night, Grace and I were in bed watching my favourite movie, and Elena came in to say goodnight and to get Grace. I asked Grace if she could not do Elena's hair that night and just tuck her in, but she said Elena needs this and can't sleep if they don't follow their nighttime routine. Plus, if she doesn't braid Elena's hair, it'll be knotted by the morning. I told her it's just one night and Elena will be fine, but Grace still left and took even longer than usual to spite me. Since then, Grace has been passive-aggressively sending me articles about how important following the routine is to Elena's mental health, so I wanted to know if I was in the wrong. Also, before anyone says Elena needs to be in therapy, she's in therapy twice a week and is a million times better than when we first started fostering her. Edit, Grace and Elena watched a few episodes of Tom and Jerry, and that's definitely not part of their nighttime routine, so that's how I know it was out of spite. Edit, Elena didn't hear me asking Grace to shorten the bedtime routine. We told her to go to her room and that Grace would be there in a minute, and after I couldn't hear her walking anymore, I asked Grace. Also, I'm working on getting myself into therapy. Hopefully I'll be able to start soon. Now, OP is obviously going to be grieving. As we always say though, everyone grieves in different ways and that's absolutely understandable. But I think in this situation, I was originally going to come in with like, everyone sucks here, that OP sucks for wanting to sort of ruin the routine and Grace sucks for not being more considerate of, OP's current feelings and their grief and things like that. But at the same time, I come into this one now, and after thinking for a little bit, I thought, well, it's not that long that Grace is going to be spending doing their daughter's hair, it's not that long to wait in the grand scheme of things. And I think we have to remember this is a child with very complex needs at the moment, the stuff that they're going through, and this is their routine is going to be like so important, like top priority important in this situation. That's the way it feels to me anyway. But we'll check out some comments to see what they say. But Bass Pony says, very mild, you're the arsehole. You're the adult and you're fostering a child with severe trauma that will always require sacrifice and compromise. Yes, you're going through some hard times right now. My sincere condolences for the loss of your parents, and your wife should absolutely be there for you and support you. However, taking an hour a night to keep a calming routine for your foster child doesn't mean your wife is abandoning you. Give them the time for their routine. You'll still have time with your wife once she's sleeping. And NYC says, and quotes, I asked Grace if she could not do Elena's hair that night and just tuck her in, but she said Elena needs this and can't sleep if they don't follow their nighttime routine. And then says, you're the arsehole. This is her routine. Sorry about your no contact parents, but this is her routine. And MAH says, sorry, you're the arsehole. You're an adult. It's much easier for you to cope. Took longer to spite me sounds kind of childish, so you really think she did that? And Kitty Whisper says, soft, you're the arsehole because, and quotes, the thing is, Elena had severe anxiety, CPTSD, and needs our daily routine to function. And then says, you said it yourself, your child needs the routine, which clearly includes the braiding, tucking in, and back rubbing, that you are now asking to be altered. It doesn't diminish your heightened emotional needs at this moment for that routine to continue. What it does is demonstrate to the child, who you admit needs routine, that even life throws a curveball, she can rely on the stability she has been given and her parents to be there. It may have been even more important that this is reinforced during and after a family tragedy, providing comforting familiarity for your child, your wife, and you. And Toy Gun says, you're the arsehole. I don't understand that everyone sucks here and then no one's an arsehole here. How is OP's wife the arsehole for doing their foster daughter's routine when it's not just something she likes, but something she needs? I get that OP is hurting, but when you have a child that needs certain things, you put yourself on the hook for those things, regardless of your needs. And now I turn this one to you guys. What do you guys think of this situation? And do you think there was another way it could be dealt with? Or was it the right way it was dealt with in the first place? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And our next story comes from Separate Strike. Am I the arsehole for taking a last chance of having a baby away? Hello, I apologise for any mistakes as English isn't my native language. I, 21 female, was doing an internship traineeship at a tech company, not really knowing what I want to do or be in life. I saw a college nearby doing what I wanted to major in nearby. I picked a close one because my family isn't rich and thought it'd be the only one affordable without taking out loans. During my internship, I talked to many people who wanted to major in the same subject as me. However, they all wanted to go to another college further away. I looked at the college and fell in love with the program. However, I knew it couldn't be done as it would mean I needed to get my own place. Back at home, I spoke to my grandma on my mum's side, 65 female, and told her about the college and how I wished I could go there. She told me not to worry and that financially it could be done. I was so excited and happy hearing I could go. My grandma called my other grandma, 75 female, talking about my dream to go there. Other grandma heard and wanted her savings to go into a college fund for me so I could go study there. I was even happier about that. It would make me be able to study without any loans and enough money to party. During a family Zoom call with me, my two grandmas and my aunt, 40 female and uncle 38 male on dad's side, we discussed my plans. My aunt and uncle told me not to go because I'd be in lots of debt and that this is crushing them at the moment. I told them I wouldn't be needing any loans. They asked how, and I told them that my grandmas were paying for all of it. Dad's side grandma told me I'd be using her savings. Then all went downhill. Apparently her savings were supposed to be for their IVF fund, since they cannot afford them after multiple failed attempts. Aunt started crying and begged me to reconsider my choices. I told her no, this is my dream college and I'm not letting that get taken away from me. After that they called me selfish, saying that I could take out loans or go to the first college and they could still get their baby. I got mad and yelled at her. I told her that even if she used the money, there was still a good chance that there would be no baby. And that maybe she is too old and this is nature's way of telling her children aren't for her. And there is a slight update which we will cover after some of the comments on this one. So we'll go straight there first. And we'll start off with Glaxon Flux, who says, almost had me on your side because obviously you don't know where the money was supposed to go when it was offered to you, but then you had to go and say, and quotes, I got mad and yelled at her. I told her that even if she used the money there was a good chance that there would be no baby, that maybe she is too old and this is nature's way of telling her children aren't for her. And then says, cruelty wasn't necessary, you're the arsehole. And Wow says, everyone sucks here, they suck a lot, but that last comment about nature saying she should not have kids was an arsehole move to people who just got terrible news. I would definitely go to that college if I were you. They can adopt if they really want kids, and you are correct, it might not work even if they do the treatment, but try and have some sympathy. And Phil Connors says, apparently her savings were supposed to be for their IVF fund since they cannot afford them after multiple attempts, and then says, not the arsehole, supposed to be, according to whom? Apparently not to grandma. And then quotes again saying, I told her that even if she used the money, and about the nature's way again, and then says, oh wait, you are an arsehole. And then Bay City Troller says, everyone sucks here, that was a pretty nasty comment you made to your aunt. However, aunt and uncle had clearly decided that money was theirs without talking to your grandmothers. I would consider apologising to your aunt, but you're right to go to college. Just don't forget that you have the privilege of going debt free, and I'm sure your grandmothers aren't paying for you to party too hard. Edit, after reading more and seeing that A, grandmother had already discussed potentially using that money for IVF with aunt and uncle, getting their hopes up, B, OP not needing specifically paternal grandmother's money for anything except partying, and C, OP's comments towards aunt and uncle, I'm changing my verdict to you're the arsehole. Granny sucks also. Although it is her money to do what she wants with, your poor aunt is going through something devastating and you're going to use those funds to party at college. Arsehole. And Rin the Human says, everyone sucks here, infertility is tough, and what you said to your aunt was harsh, but the money is your grandmother's and it's up to her to decide what she wants to spend it on. If your aunt has a problem, then she should talk to your grandmother. And Diagnosed Wolf says, wow, you're a dick. You're only 19 years away from your aunt's age. I genuinely hope that you never have infertility issues, but wow. 40 is pretty normal age for having kids now. I'm genuinely shocked you have a question as to whether you were an arsehole to say such a cruel thing to a woman who just found out she was no longer able to have kids that very moment and was catapulted into the bargaining stage of grief. Arsehole, how dare you say something like that to her? You're the arsehole. And Past the Alcohol says, this is tricky because I really think what you said to your aunt was insensitive and rude. It's not your place to tell anyone whether they're too old for children and what nature's plans for them are. From your aunt's perspective, they have been told they can have money for IVF, regardless of how many times they've had IVF before or how likely their success is, that's not relevant. They in their minds have spent that money and are already considering their future. It's not your aunt's fault that they were told they could have that money and now someone else has been offered it. It's not your fault because you didn't know, but your comments to them were highly insensitive and extremely hurtful. Your grandmother really is the arsehole for promising two people money without being able to follow through. You're a close second because of what you said to your aunt. I'm inclined to say everyone sucks here, but I think your aunt's reaction was justified given the emotive nature of the situation. And Elfarank says everyone sucks here, you have other options, they don't. Your grandma shouldn't have been offered money, she's already promised to someone else. Your aunt and uncle shouldn't have a go at you for your poor choices your grandma is making. So many arseholes in one post. And Samantha says, you're the arsehole big time. I was kind of in agreement with you until I read that you're going to use the money to party. Excuse me, what? My college funds certainly did not come with a tab for alcohol purchases. It's wild that you think you deserve the money over your aunt when she wants a baby and you just want to party. I'm actually kind of disgusted by this post. Your comments towards your aunt were beyond cruel, and if I were one of your grandmas, I would take every penny away from you. And finally to Sue says, you're the arsehole. Edit, changing my response from everyone sucks here. What you said was just nasty and uncalled for, and I think you should apologise for that. I hope that no one is nasty to you if you go through fertility struggles when you're older. Your aunt should be discussing this with your grandma and not having a go at you, although I can understand her being upset and asking you to reconsider, as she is right, you do have options based on your other comments about your grandma's poor memory. It does seem unfair for the money just to go to you now, as there's a strong chance she's forgotten what she has originally agreed to, especially as you do have other options. Update. Well, this went different than I expected. Everyone is talking about my comment instead of me taking the money, which I agree I am the arsehole for saying. But I want to explain why I said that. Basically, the other day after the Zoom call, I get called by her. Before I could say anything, she starts yelling and screaming about what happened the day before. She started screaming how entitled people my age were. Fine by me, but after, she told how people my race, I am mixed, she is white, are ruining the country and taking all the money from the racist and very racist swear words. I am in Europe, that's what made me flip like that. She always was kind of racist, but I mostly ignored it up till now. Grandma told me to ignore it, but today was my limit. I didn't explain the situation further because I asked about taking the money. And now finally, I turn this one to you guys. What do you guys think of this story? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Now, once again, guys, thank you for being here today. Thank you for spending your time out of your day to be here. It's absolutely amazing of you to do so. And if you do want to support the channel further, you absolutely can by clicking that join button down below for YouTube, or clicking the link in the description and joining up on Patreon. It is super helpful for this channel, and I cannot express that enough. It gives me that support that YouTube may not give me one day. So thank you for considering, but never any pressure to do so. And I will see you in the next one. Take care, guys. Much love.